Hello everyone, this is Surya and welcome to Be a Geek. In today's video, we are going to solve a very famous question from HackerRank and which can ask you into any interview, Java Anagrams. Now, in this question, what we have to do? We have to compare two strings and we have to check if both strings are anagram or not. So basically, what is the anagram? The main question arises here. If you see over there, two strings A and B are called anagram if they contain all the same character in the same frequency. For this challenge, the test is not case sensitive. For example, the anagram of cat are CAT, ACT, TAC, TCA, ATC and CTA. We have a string cat and for anagram we have to check that in both strings the frequency of characters should be same. Means if we have a string, let's say Surya, now if you see there the frequency of SURYA, all the frequency of letters is 1. Now if I write YARUS, in this string also the frequency of all characters are same. And if you see this line, the test is not case sensitive. So in that case also, if I want to write R as capital, let's say I want to write RAUYS, then in that case also these strings are anagram to each other. Now in our problem we have to complete a method is anagram, and if you see this method, here we are getting two strings, string A and string B, and we have to return a boolean. If A and B are case insensitive anagram, then return true, otherwise we have to return false. Now if both string A and B are anagram, we will return true, otherwise we will return false. Rest of the things, if you see over there, these things are already handled. Also we're gonna have an example over there. Here we have two strings ANAGRM anagram and MARGANA. So both strings are anagram to each other, and here we are getting anagram. Why we are getting anagram? So basically we have completed this function and both strings are anagram to each other, then we return true from there. Okay, if the value of RET is true, then from there we are printing anagram. So that's why we are getting anagram in our output. Now this is a very famous question, and the approach which we are using in this question that will gonna help you in many different questions. So this is very important and you have to focus on this. So in this problem we're gonna use approach which is frequency. So what we're gonna do over there, so let me just take a screenshot of this and paste it over there. Okay, so if you see this, we have two strings anagram and another string MARGAN, which is anagram to each other. So the main approach which we use to solve this kind of question is used by frequency method. So how we can check whether the values, whether the letters in both strings are of the same count. So let's say we have anagram and this, so we're gonna create a frequency of all the characters into both strings. So if you see over there, for first string we have this frequency, and for another string we have this frequency. And how you can do that? So first basically we create a loop over this string, and at that time we will have a array of integers which range from 0 to 25. Here 0 represent A and 25 represents Z. So basically 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, and 0 is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Basically this is the array of integers. Now initially all the values of our array will be 0. So let's say we have an array and at the 0 index we have 0, and for first we have also 0 and that also we have 0. Let's say we are iterating over our string and we got a. Now what will happen? We increase the value at 0 index by 1. So now this will become 1. Now we got n, that in that case we increase the value at n index from our array of integer. If again we got a and a, now for a we increase the value of 1 by 1 and it will become 2. So basically we are counting the frequency of every character in our string, and we're gonna save this string into our array of integer. After completing the iteration of our string, we're gonna have an array where we have the frequency of every character which we got into our string. Now what will happen into the next step, when we are checking that our string, another string is also anagram of our first string, then what we're gonna do? We will iterate over our another string which is provided. Now in this string we have m, a, r, g, a, n, a. Let's say we are iterating and we are getting a. Now in that case we will subtract 1 from the value of our array. Now what I can do? I can just subtract 1 from my current value. Now it is becoming 1. If I again get a into my string, then I will again reduce the value by 1 and it will become 0. Let's say in my first string I do not have any b because 1 represents b, and in my second string I have a b. Then what will happen? I will subtract -1 from this 0 and it will become -1. And if in my second string I do not have any c, and in my first string I also do not have any c, then 0 will remain 0. Let's say this is 3 and this is represent d. Let's say in my first string I have a d, then I will increase the value 0 to 1, and in my second string I do not have any d, so this will remain as 1. Now what will happen at the end? We're gonna have an array with integer values. Now we will iterate over this array and we will check if all the values of that array is 0, then it will gonna become an anagram. If any value is negative, then that means there is something in my second string which is not into our first string, and if any value is positive, then there is something which is in my first string which is not present into my second string. Let's take an example of that. So this is our first string and this is our second string. Let me just take a screenshot of this also. In this string we have a n a g r a m, and in another string we have m a r g a n a a. Let's say I am iterating over my first string and this is my array where 0 represent my character a. Okay, if you iterate over this, now the frequency of a in this string is 1, 2, 3. So at the end, after iterating over this string, my a0 will become 3. Now in my second step I will iterate over my second string and I will subtract values on the basis of a from this index, and here I have a 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 a's, so I will subtract 3 minus 4 is equals to -1. Okay, so after iterating over this string, the value at 0 index will become -1. Now after that I will iterate over this array of integer and I will check if any value is negative or positive. If any value is negative or positive, then the string is not anagram to each other. If all values are 0, then they are anagram to each other. I will return true from my function is anagram. So basically this is a basic problem, and one thing which we can consider, the test is not case sensitive. So basically if we have capital A and if we have small a, then in both cases we're going to increase and decrease the value of this index. So we are case insensitive. Now what I can do, I can just copy this code and paste it into my code editor, and this is the problem which we solved into our last video, and we can just complete this code. Okay, so first what we can do, so there is a very obvious case. If both strings length are not equal, then in that case our string cannot be an anagram. So if a dot length is not equal to b dot length, then in that case we will return false. Now if both strings are equal to each other, then what we have to do? We have to calculate the frequency. Now before that, if you see our question, the test is not case sensitive. So to cater the situation, we can directly convert our strings into lowercase. Now every character of our string will be into lowercase, so that we can directly compare them. Now let's create an array of integer. Let's say this is ARR and the length of array is 26. Now we can just run a loop over our string a, where the value of I will become a dot length and I plus plus. Now I have to increase the value by 1 into my array ARR. So how I can do that? So I can just use a function a dot character at index I. So this means I am referring to the character which is at 0 index of my string, and I can just subtract minus a from that, and I can increase the value by 1. So what will this do? Let's say the first character of my string is a, then a minus a will become 0, and at the 0 index of my array ARR the value will become 1. Basically this work on ASCII values. If you do not know about ASCII values, you can just refer to the internet what is the ASCII value of a and other characters. Now this loop will create a frequency array for the characters of my string a. Now I will create another loop int I is equals to 0, where I is less than a dot length. I will increase the value of I by 1. I will use b dot length. So now I will decrease the value for every character into my frequency array. So what I will do, I will use b dot character at index I, and I will subtract a from that, and if I get any value then I will decrease that by minus 1. Okay, so at the end I will get my frequency array. Now I will run another loop on my frequency array. Let's say it is int I and I am running it on my array a. If I is not equal to 0, then I will return false from there. I am not returning false from there, then I will return true from there. So this is our main logic, and if I run this code and I have anagram and anagram, then in that case I will get anagram into my output. So basically what is happening here, I am repeating that again. I am creating a frequency array where I am increasing the value in my array by 1 for every character, and in another loop for my string b I am decreasing the value by 1, and I am running another loop for on my frequency array, and if the value of I is not equal to 0, means there is a character which count is not equal into both strings. Now if this happens, then I will return false, because in that case my string will not become an anagram. Now if this loop complete and I am not returning false, then that means my every integer from my frequency array is 0, means this is an anagram, and I am returning true from there. So this is my final logic. Now if you see over there, I am running two loops, and from there the length of both strings are same, means these are same loops but on different strings. So I can just do this, and if I remove this, then in that case also my code will work completely. I just remove a loop from there and I can just copy this code and paste it into my function and run this code, and let's see this code is working fine or not. Okay, this is working fine, and let me just submit this code. So I think they will work. Okay, so they are working properly. Now if you want to copy this code, there is a link in the description box. From there you can directly visit our website, and from there you can directly copy this code and paste it into your code editor and submit your code, and that will work perfectly fine. Now if you like this video and if you understand how frequency work and how we can solve this question, then you can give a like. You can subscribe to our channel. If you have any question, you can directly reach out to me on my Instagram. There is a link in the description box, and you can directly comment on this video. Now in the next video we will learn more about strings. Let's meet into the next video. Till then, thank you, take care, and bye bye.